Sup, it's your unapologetic Ray Rat neighbor Kevin Cornish, and I'm back with a brand new video. This is what if Naruto was a shaman. But before we get into this, I'd like to point y'all attention to that description there below. YouTube links such as Six Meister of the Meistercan, Kidzus of Kidzu Studios, Zoku Meister, Lord Titan, and Gratify, just to name a few. These are what if creators that I think are awesome. But that's just my opinion. Head on over to their page, check out their contents, tell them the Cornish Man sent you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, tickle that bell notification to get notified whenever I upload a brand new video. Hit them up with a new style. Anyway, so earlier I did make a what if Deku was a shaman, and I decided let's double with a Naruto shaman as well. So no lot of explanation about the situation. Let's get straight into this. So how we're going to start it off with let's talk about the villagers of Konoha village, you know what I mean? So there wasn't a nine-tail attack, to be exact. Basically everything in this universe, there's still ninjas, of course, in this universe. Everything is held together by a group or a villagers known as the Village of Spirit, and the village of spirits occupants are shaman and spirit medium, with the men being shaman and the female being spirit medium. Villagers are well known for their art of spirit healing. The first ninja war, they were hailed as heroes for because they went to the battlefield instead of fighting. They healed majority of injured soldiers from both parties, showing that they're neutral. Granted, some of them did get killed, but they they just prayed to their spirit god or something, or their spirit king, and sent the soul that perished to their rightful space. And also about the 10 tails beast. So all tail beasts exist in this particular universe, but they're essentially guardian spirits, you know what I mean? And the shaman of the land of spirit and the spirit medium appease them by dancing, offering them food, entertaining them to a point where basically they were never used as weapons, because the ninjas couldn't actually physically touch them. Yes, they could see the tail beast in the distance, but whenever normal humans come near them, they disappear. Basically, and also, what I mean. So it's only Uchihas, Hyugas, and shaman that could actually see and touch the tail beasts. But then they the shamans and the spirit medium advise against doing so. So they respect the shaman village to a point where they don't try to mess with the guardian spirits of the universe. So that's basically all 9 or 10 tail beasts. Also the 10th tail beast in this one is not going to be similar to the 10 tail in canon. This is going to be like a 10 tail dragon, but it still has some Uchiha elements to it, with the factor of it having 4 eyeballs, with all of them with 6 tomoe, bearing in all of 4 of his eyeballs and stuff. So it's cool looking in a sense. So we switch off to a Minato Namikaze after the first great ninja war, who he kind of met up with the shaman queen. In this sense, this is what's her name again? Kushina. And the sense Kushina is royalty. She's actually the head of the shaman village, meaning she is the first female shaman. Because then it's always been that way, with females being spirit medium and men being shamans. You know what I mean? So after she was born, she was hailed as a shaman rather than a spirit medium, and she was given great praise and such like that. Because then it was a prophecy of theirs that a female shaman would give birth to the chosen one and stuff. So yeah, so Minato does meet Kushina in this sense, and fell in love and decided to abandon Konoha village, but he didn't do it as the sense, because then he knew he was on the run up, in the ring to become the next Hokage. He decided to tell the third Hokage to pick someone else, because he is sooner or later going to be leaving the village. He asked the Hokage, he begged the Hokage for the situation, and the Hokage then, disappointingly agrees. Minato finally left the village, and 5 years later, Minato is being crowned as the Shaman King next to his wife. A few years 2 years have passed, and they're now expecting their first baby boy. The entire village was very, very happy about this, because the prophecy is now coming to life. But the same night of the party, something tragic happened. So the entire village is protected by a seal. So people who with intention of evil cannot enter, and basically they would be sent back to the front gate. But this night everything changed, as Hinata was giving birth to her son, and someone with great spiritual energy just entered the village. Other villagers sensed this, other shamans sensed this, proceeded to head to the location of this entity, only to see Heihachi Hyuga standing with with something in his arms as he pleads for help. We now flash back to what happened. Heihachi Hyuga also was having a gathering with people from the land of lightning. A few days earlier, he had welcomed his first daughter into his life, and he was happy. So he had a very wonderful time, not knowing that a few men of the land of white lightning were planning something devious. So at the stroke of midnight, Heihachi could felt something in his stomach, that something was wrong, and he proceeded to go to his now newly born daughter, only about 2-3 days old, and to see that her crib was empty. He activated his Byakugan. As he saw two men fleeing the scene, he went high pursuit, and he eventually caught up to the men, as he saw that the baby's hand leaking out of the little clot they had, and he started to fight and fend off the men, with one of the men trying to escape. Heihachi then delivered a fatal blow to the man, to one of the individual he was fighting, as he proceeded to apprehend the other one. But the other man stood firm, as he placed the baby into the in his hand, up in the air. He actually seeing that the man was planning on slamming the baby to the ground, went over and did a a little rotation, uh, controlled rotation. When the baby was about to hit the ground, a gust of air from this said technique cushioned her fall, as Hiyashi did some palm techniques, causing the man to fall to the ground. But he started laughing as a light started emanated from the baby. So the man placed some kind of sealing curse death jutsu on the baby. If he dies, the baby will die as well. Hiyashi, recognizing it, placed some kind of jutsu to place the baby under a sleep-like state, so the technique wouldn't take full effect. But it'll probably will. And they're now at the scene where they're in front of he's in front of the village land of in the land of spirit. The men surround him, and he begged them to help because of their well-known spiritual healing, and he assumed that they can do something about the baby dying. Back at the scene where Kushina is given birth successfully. They mentioned to their now new king that Kushina delivered a healthy baby boy. And just to give them a moment as they clean him up, Minato wasn't giving a flying fuck, proceeded to tell the nurse to hand over his child. No matter the state of the baby, the nurse complied with it, because then she could see that he was being impatient about the situation. And she then instruct a few other nurses to go over and get some towels and stuff. As Minato placed his back to the wall, sat on his butt, started crying, as he gave the boy the name Naruto, thanks to his sensei Jiraiya, a book from his sensei Jiraiya. So we get back to where Hiyashi Hyuga is pleading to the guard to let him in, or to help his child, as they notice that the huge spiritual energy is not coming from him but the baby. They decided okay, that they would help Hiyashi, as they took Hiyashi to the palace, and they explained that their queen has just given birth, and they must summon a shaman, or a spirit medium with equal strength. It will be a little while late, but please hang in there, as the other shaman were doing hand sign to perform a barrier around Hinata. Yeah, that's the name of the baby. So we all know the name of the baby was fucking Hinata. So don't come with that bullshit. It's gonna be a Naruhina story. Alright, I'm not gonna make it that there never gonna be a but. Yeah. So one of the guard entered the room where Kushina was at that moment in time, resting, because she just gave birth like fucking a couple hours ago, explaining the situation to her. Kushina is very a nice girl, and now that she is a mother, knowing that a child is about to die because of another village negligent, not really sure what they really wanted with a baby, she gathered up the strength to go over, because the next spirit medium is probably a few miles away, and it will be a while before she actually arrives. Minato advised her against doing so, but she convinced her husband that it's a newborn child, and it's unfair that she will not have the chance to experience the life that our son will have as well. And she then decided to declare, because then a few of her servants were like, she's an outsider, and due to a few years bad past with the Konoha village, they were kind of hesitant in a sense to actually help her. Kushina made sure to, quell their doubts as she made her way to the room where they were all sitting waiting for the spirit medium. Everyone gasped as they mentioned, "Your Highness, Your Majesty," and Minato was following close by. Hiyashi knew who Minato was, went to Minato asking Minato if he could do anything, and he explained that he cannot, and his wife is actually here to assist in that situation. But I don't know what the cost is going to be, as she just gave birth a few hours ago. So yeah, so Kushina sat down next to the child in a in her in a pose where as she started to do some hand signs, light started coming from the floor as it started forming into a symbol of sort, and enveloped the child in a bright light. But it wasn't working. The child was gasping for air as Kushina was crying. They heard the cry of Naruto from a room not far away, as a thought came into Kushina's mind. So the shaman and spirit medium have a longer lifespan than a normal human would have, stating that they're closer to their ancestors' heritage. Kushina decided there is a technique that would allow her to live, but she will be bound by an anchor. She was explaining to Hiyashi and stuff, and Hiyashi said anything that will work, anything that will work. She also then told her guard to summon 3 more spirit medium, because the technique she's about to use is a ritual that she and Minato did. To be exact, everyone was like really people were happy because the tall tale of that as well is written in the prophecy. Kushina wasn't really trying to follow the prophecy. She just didn't want to see a baby die in her palace, in her castle. You know what I mean? She's like that. She then ordered another to bring her child to her. As she placed the child next to to Kushina, as she placed Naruto next to Kushina, she asked Minato to join her. As he placed his hand on Kushina's shoulders, telling Hiyashi to stand on the opposite side of them. Minato, smiled, knowing what is about to happen. As Hiyashi was really like worried about it. Kushina started the hand sign. Mid through the completion of the technique, Kushina then told Hiyashi that she welcomes his daughter into her family, kind of confusing Hiyashi a bit. Like she's wondering, oh, what's up? What? Uh, After the ritual was completed, Hinata started crying healthily, and Naruto started to cry because Hinata was crying. Hiyashi picked up his little girl, holding her ever so gently and ever so with much passion and love, as he then remembered what Kushina uttered earlier. Then Kushina revealed that the technique, it binds 2 souls together, meaning they are now engaged. The technique symbolized engagement, which would in turn grant Hinata Naruto's lifespan. So it goes both ways. So if either out of them dies, they'll both die. So regardless of who dies first, they'll both die. Kushin, Hiyashi was kind of angry about it, but seeing that his daughter is going to have a lifespan of a shaman, he kind of accepted her fate, and boom, they went on. Kushina congratulate Hiyashi in a successful recovery of his daughter, and request that he must return with her in 15 years. So the engagement can be official. Hiyashi regrettably, agreed to it, but without that assistance from the shaman queen, his daughter would have been, dead. Anyway, so we time skip to about 6 years later, and life has been, happy. Everything has been going in good. Naruto is, studying hard due to his mom's strict, how you call those stuff? Yeah, studies, because his mother looked after his studies alongside other people, and his father looked upon his training. His combat state, and the few others assist him in his spirit summoning, and stuff. But sooner than later, tragedy is about to strike, because a rogue in Uchiha is planning to do the unthinkable. So on that day was the celebration of the Nine-Tailed Fox, and the plan was to go forth, sing, and offer the Nine-Tails his annual treat and stuff, because it's a thing they do to appease the guardian spirits. And in this one, the guardian spirits are known as the Nine-Tailed Beasts and stuff. Knowing that he cannot apprehend the 10-tailed beast, went and after the second strongest beast, which was the Nine-Tail, and it was lucky that it's the Nine-Tail festival that's this day. Naruto was happy for it, as he and his parents were making their way to the shrine of the Nine-Tails. You know what I mean? So yeah. Few moments later, man was standing on top of the hill, looking down at the citizens, pitying their naive outlook on life, and shed a single tear as he did some hand sign, and the moon changed into the tomoe. Had like 6 tomoe on it, symbolizing that he placed the entire village under a genjutsu. Gladly, the king and queen haven't arrived there yet, but as they were about to, they were there in a sense, like almost going to be there, but they weren't in the range of the attack that this Yomas Ichiwa was putting off. They arrived to see that the citizens were killing themselves, as the Nine-Tail were writhing in agony in the background. Kushina stripped off her robe, showing her battle gear. Minato did the same, as he threw a few of his kunais into various directions, teleporting to them, and then flew up into the air, throwing a kunai directly up, as he did some hindsight, stating shadow shuriken, as multiple shadow shuriken is what I meant to say, as multiple shuriken scattered in multiple directions. Minato trying his best to stop people from killing themselves, as to take them out of the effective area. As they recognize the moon on top, they analyze the situation, they recognize that the moon overhead is causing people to slaughter themselves. You know what I mean? Kushina then went up to the mountain where the Nine Tails were still, roaring out in pain and anguish, as she saw that the eyes of the Nine Tails weren't as calm as it should be. She tried to appease him, ask the Nine Tails if they have committed an error or some ways, as the Nine Tail turned around and told the Kushina to run in a scary manner, as he was all at the same time stretching his paws to her, causing a destruction to causing the surrounding area to burst into what seems to be spontaneous combustion. Yes, burst, because the force of the Nine Tails moving his arms was comparable to like a rocket or a meteor flying past. But anyway, Kushina managed to dodge this and was trying to understand what was happening, as then the masked man came, and it was like it was messed up, but he has the prince within his arms, as he told the Kushina to let go, as to free the seal of the Nine Tails. The Nine Tail was located in the seal of the Nine Tail was located in the shrine. Kushina, was kind of hesitant, but the masked man proceeded to, squeeze on Naruto real tightly, causing Naruto to scream out in pain. The Nine Tails was, standing there, couldn't do anything, because he is almost under the control of, the masked figure. Later on, Kushina finally agrees to, release the seal of the Nine Tails. This way, the masked man could completely control the Nine Tails, and Kushina had to. But before after Kushina broke the seal, Minato arrived, kicking the masked man in the face and, grabbing Naruto from the clasp of the Nine Tails. Of the masked man, while the Nine Tails was, completely under the masked man's control. You know what I mean? Later on, now Minato used his ability to teleport Naruto to where Kushina was, but Kushina was now broken, because she did the unthinkable. She did a sin. She released the seal of the Nine Tails, and the Nine Tail is now under the control of an Uchiha, another member of the Hidden Leaf, and this made Kushina really angry but sad, as she couldn't move anymore. Naruto finally came, and Minato and Naruto finally came. Kushina broke out of her funk, held Naruto tightly, and proceeded to head off to the direction she saw Minato head to, telling Naruto to head to the palace and to hide, and to ensure to tell as many citizens to get away from the general area immediately. Naruto accepted and went proudly. But sad to say, the masked man was not alone. Naruto succeeded in arriving to the palace and assisting as many people to evacuate as he can. As he was running, he was telling everyone to get out, get out. The village is under attack. Get out, get out. In front of his citizens, though, White Zetsu showed up and grabbed Naruto once again. The people tried their best. This is White Zetsu is weak, but they're just normal civilians who can conjure up small spirits, but the spirits weren't doing anything because Zetsu couldn't see them. So blah. Zetsu finally disappears, ending up where the masked man was, but finding that the masked man had been injured, and he is trying to retreat with Kushina and Naruto Kushina and Minato trying to calm the Ninetales down, but the masked man succeeded in driving the Ninetales mad. Uh, he saw that the Zetsu had Naruto, and he smiled as he then had another wish to complete. He stood on top of a hill, making sure that Kushina and Minato was able to see them as he held Naruto by his hair and called out to them. He then laughed maniacally as he let go of, Naruto so he could fall to his death. Sadly to say, Minato didn't have a kunai there, so his flying Raijin wasn't, fast enough as Naruto then plummeted to his death. Kushina, seeing this, fell to her knees as the spell that was placed on the Ninetales was being lifted, and the two of them proceeded to escape. White Zetsuan, the masked man, as he was laughing maniacally at the death of the son of Minato and Kushina. The Ninetales finally got his senses as he saw the destruction he caused, and the two of them ran to the body of their son. They were crying. Kushina tried to gather up Naruto's spirit, but it was fading away. Regardless of their, great ability to heal the spirit, reviving the dead is still a technique far from their grasp. Or is it? Then, as they were, Kushina and Minato were both crying, Kurama, came to them with a proposal stating that he can revive their son, and the cost would be his spirit mingling, fusing with Naruto's spirit, which would cause Naruto to heal rapidly because it's one of the Ninetales power is one of Ninetales abilities. Kushina didn't hesitate to agree to it, but Minato was, a little hesitant, but finally agreed to, to the Ninetales proposal. The Ninetales turned to them, telling them that they must know his name in order for the technique to work. And after knowing his name, at the revival of their son, they must utter the name to their son to ensure that he says the name as well. The Ninetales stood on his hind legs and started doing hand sign as a transcribed circle surround them. Naruto's mangled body started flowing as it enveloped in a yellow chakra like, energy, or a yellow energy like a yellow energy, as Kurama said, soul binding revival. A light shot straight up into the sky. After the light disappeared, Naruto was lying on the floor. Now, before he didn't have whiskers, now he has whiskers. Yeah. So Naruto's lying on the floor. Kushina tried her best to wake him up, which he finally does. She uttered the name. She tells him to say the name Kurama, as Naruto says the name Kurama, and a tattoo of a nine-tailed fox appeared on his right arm, like from his hand to his his entire shoulder bear the mark of the nine-tailed fox, or the tattoo of the nine-tailed fox. You know, man. A few moments later, a few of the other villagers, quite worried, and left the safety of the mansion because Naruto was kidnapped and were making their way to the battlefield with pickaxe, forks, machetes, frying pans, brooms, whatever they could get their hands on. They grabbed it and they were making their way to the battlefield, only to see the king, queen, and the prince on the floor. They were holding each other with such warm and loving embrace, and boom, we time skip where Naruto is now fully in tune with the spirit, with his spirit control. Also, he has mastery of chakra control thanks to his father's side, because then he's half shaman, half ninja as well, so we gonna get that shit in there. It's about to be his 12th birthday, and they finally reveal that he has a fiance. Hopefully Hiyashi did keep the end of his bargain and will make it there for his 12th birthday. You know what I mean? They also sent letters and spirit letters and other stuff to inform him that Naruto's birthday is on the way and stuff. On the other side of the situation, the same night Naruto was given this, Naruto's spirit merged with the Nine Tails. A few, strange occurrence happened over at the other side. So Hinata started glowing with the same strange yellow energy that was covering Naruto. That's because she was dead. As Hiyashi was crying, trying to figure out what was happening, she started floating, and finally came down and revived. As she watched and she opened her eyes, she sees her father crying frantically. She slaps her dad, telling him stop to cut that stupidness out, because she only passed out for a little while. She doesn't know what happened, but she probably is exhausted due to the training he put her through. Boom. So we time skip to the current time. Hiyashi got the letter, and he finally reveals to Hinata that she is engaged to the prince of the land of spirit. She was angry at first, but then she got a picture of him and a little survey, or how you say those things? A little, book describing who the prince is and how he is, and she kind of, think that was cool and stuff. So she, agreed to go to the village, which would be happening in a week and stuff. Naruto was freaking out, not knowing that he actually had a fiance, thinking that trying to understand why the girls of the village constantly avoid his advances, as everyone knows that he was engaged except him, and stuff. So later on we're going to get to a scene where the Uchihas are having a meeting, thanks to the information given from the shamans and spirit medium, or the spirit from the people from the land of spirit. The villagers of Konoha shunned the Uchihas, stating that they almost orchestra a catastrophe, knowing the strength of the Nine-Tailed. So the Uchihas are being treated badly and such. So Fugaku Uchiha was, getting sick of their shit, and he was planning a coup, but it was thwarted by Hiyashi and Itachi Hyuga, with them, explaining that they could just, relocate to another village, and this proposal was actually offered up by the third Hokage, who it would be saddened if they had to eliminate all the Uchiha, and frankly, he doesn't want to do it. So they told him the proposal, and they're confused as to where are they going to go, who are going to accept them, and this is their way of life, this is where they grew up, this is how they lived and stuff. So boom, the letter from Hiyashi also stated that he should bring Fugaku Uchiha along with him. And so we changed the scene up where Fugaku Uchiha, Hiyashi Uchiha, and their spouse, Sasuke Uchiha, Shisui Uchiha, and Itachi Uchiha was also with them for extra protection due to them being the head of their respective clan. Were making their way to the land of spirit to for the official announcement of their engagement, even though land of spirit, they know. Few people from Konoha didn't know it, especially the Uchihas and stuff. So they finally arrived, and a few of the shaman, or the few of the citizens, were looking at the Uchihas funny, because it was an Uchiha that caused their dilemma a few years back, trying to obtain the power of the Nine Tails. But the queen advised them that the people that were standing with them are not the man that was responsible for the situation, because then it was, she informed the citizen that she made a vivid memory of his eyes, so whenever she sees those eyes, she'll know and stuff. She even went on to tell them to welcome their new citizens, as Fugaku mouth opened wide, trying to understand what's really happening. And we flash back into a scene where the third Hokage made the trip to the land of spirit, begging the queen and the king to accept the Uchiha into their land, regardless of what happened years ago. Kushina advised him the same way that she advised her citizens, and she accepted them into the village with open arms, due to them having abundant materials for them to live. Fugaku fell to the floor, and he started crying, and thinking about the situation. He didn't hesitate to accept, because he had two choices: die or roam around. This village is willing to accept them even after one of their people caused a big dilemma for them. Why wouldn't he accept? He not only accepted, he pledged that he would protect his newfound village with his life, and ensure that the Uchiha clan respect their way of life. In fact, they were ensured that they to emulate their way of life into the Uchiha way of life. Kind of casting away their past for a new future. Anyway, this is where we're going to leave this off. Hopefully you all enjoy as much as I enjoy making it. Check out all the links in the description below. What if creators such as Six Meister of the Meister Clan, Kidzeus of Kidzeus Studios, Zoku Meister, Lord Titan, Gratify, and YK, just to name a few. These are what if creators that I think are amazing, but that's just my opinion. Head on over to their page and tell them to check out a few of their content, and tell them the Cornage Man sent you. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, button to get notified whenever I upload a video. I keep forgetting that my link to my TikTok and Discord is also down there. You know, if you just want to holler at a nigga, say some shit, head on over to my Discord link. If you want to see me having a karate session with my cat and dog, basically, and it's just with my dog, and I get my cat drunk for no apparent reason. For he likes to drink. It's just a stupid habit of his. I don't know where he got it from. But anyway, this is your unfriendly raid rat neighbor Kevin Cornage, and I'll see you in the next one. Holla at a nigga, say whoop.